morning from the Philippines, Mike. Randall Wilson again from SPIN.PH. We're just trying to look past UAP players, and we're trying to check on where they are now. And I understand you're in Chicago. Can you share us what have you been doing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Randolph, for having me on, and of course, remembering me from the UP days. So, yeah, I'm actually back here in Chicago. Moved back here around 2015. So I've been here, back for 7 years now. Still playing ball. Still playing almost every other day. Playing in basketball leagues here in Chicago. Playing in the inner city leagues, in Toronto and across the U.S. as well. But that's only for fun now. So just enjoying the game and for the love of the game. But on my real life or work, I work in sales and recruiting in the city of Chicago. So it's kind of like being a sports agent in a way. So I help others try to find jobs here in the city and of course across the U.S. as well. So I love it. I mean, it's a new challenge for me, but I meet good people every single day, and I'm still around the game too. And you know me. I love meeting new people and talking to new people on a daily basis.
Mike will get to what you've been doing now. We'll get to that later. But this is just a refresher for people because the UP fans remember you as somewhat of a great hope. Remember those dark days of UP.
Oh yeah.
Can you just share us how in the world have you ended up in UP, a program that has been struggling, and then you find your way there? Can you just share a bit of who recruited you, how that came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So, growing up here in Chicago all my life, I always went back home to the Philippines, mostly every Christmas in my high school days. My parents, were fortunate enough to let my brother and my sister visit the motherland for Christmas time, and during those times, I found out how big basketball was. Not just big, but in every single aspect of the game, from high school to college to PBA to semi-pro, and just how much the Filipino fans adored the game. So my plan was to always play basketball after high school, what if it was going to be here in the States or in the Philippines. But I think my path led me to the Philippines because of how much the game attracted me over there with all the times I visited there in the Christmas time. So during some of the Christmas times in my junior and senior year of high school, I actually tried out with Ateneo a few times. Just a couple of up and down, practices that they had, just small invitations with Coach Norman Black at the time. And he always said, if ever, you want to play here, let's come back, see what we can do. Maybe if we have a spot at that time, maybe I'll have you on. But when I came back after high school, I played 2 years here, junior college first. So when I moved there, I was around almost 19 years old already. During that time, they had one of the best Ateneo teams that I've ever seen. Chris Chu, who else was there? Rabah Al-Husseini. I mean, they were just stacked. Kirk Long, Eric Salamat, Ryan Buenafe. I mean, they were just, powerhouse. So at that time, I felt like, it wasn't the right place for me, and I had to wait 2 years anyway. So they weren't going anywhere. So I tried out actually at Sambeda after that. I liked it a lot. I did like the program, the people there, but I felt like they were a very, very stacked team as well. They had Sam Ekwe at the time, and Sam Ekwe's team, they never lost. So Coach Aboy Castro, my first ever coach there, he found out that there was this Chicago kid, trying out, coming to the Philippines, really wanting to play. And at that time, Coach Alboy really, really impressed me with the UP and how they're going to turn around that program. Um, and my dad was there with me at the time, and he was like, this is the right place, because of not just the school, not just what we stood for, not just the academics, but the people and the coaches that came up to my dad and myself and said, we'll take care of your son when you have to go back to Chicago. So that was my story. I mean, and ever since then, Coach Alboy, he's still a dear friend of mine, great family friend. Whenever he's here in Chicago, we always meet up. But of course, unfortunately, he was only there for a short amount of time, and I only got to play with him in one half season of my first actual UAP season. So it was kind of a weird, dark days at that time, but Coach Alboy was the guy that really, really recruited me and opened up his arms, to me and UP.
You've mentioned Coach Aboy. Of course, he was the coach who handled you. But let's fast forward to your playing days after those 2-year residency. You were looked at as somewhat of a savior of sorts, especially the program where it was for the longest time. It's been struggling. It hasn't made the Final Four since 1997. How did you deal with those pressures, and do you think those pressures caught up to you throughout the course of your time with the Maroons?
Yeah, I mean, having that, I guess stamped on my back, I tried not to, listen to that, right? I mean, I just wanted to go out there every day and play my best. And, leaving it on the court, I don't regret anything that I've done, even though that we didn't win that many games and, they thought that I was going to be, that guy, that savior, at the same time, I wanted to play ball and enjoy the game, and that's why I wanted to just go out there with, the best teammates that I had, the brothers that, helped me the last 2 years to get to where I was at that time. I did everything I could, and I don't regret it. And I think the UP fans, they can say that I did bad, I did good. Some games I did awesome, some games I was very off, which is basketball. But at the same time, I always left it out there. So my effort, my attitude, my positive, demeanor, I think, really helped my teammates, and I'm still really great friends with all of them to this day. So it was tough. It was a tough 3 years of playing where I thought we could have been a lot better. But at the end of the day, I enjoyed all my time there. That's my alma mater. I'm still bleeding maroon. So no matter what, hey, I'd left it all on the floor.
Obviously, on the court, it's a real struggle. There were even moments where you only had 1 wins, 2 wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what's the most memorable recollection? Yeah, a memory that you really treasure of your time there.
Absolutely. For me specifically was my very first UAP game. My very, very first, after waiting 2 long years of, playing different tournaments and going to school and going to class and, just adjusting to the Filipino culture. Walking in from the Araneta tunnel and seeing 15,000 screaming fans, and my family wasn't there at the time. So they were all at home watching, on YouTube or whatever it was on the Filipino channel at that time. And I was just poured, with so much emotion during that time. And, of course, there was still a game to play. I still had to focus and, play my game. But that was one memory I will never, ever forget, was walking out into Araneta, the great Araneta Coliseum, and seeing that many fans on opening day. And we were the first game. So it was against LaSalle. I think I had 17, 18 points, of my first game. And even though we came up short, it was just like such a surreal feeling of being, finally at the UAP stage.
Mike, you said that you always bleed UP. That's your alma mater. How great of a feeling was it to see the ascent of the team as of late? I mean, before the pandemic, they were on a resurgent. They made the Final Four consecutively. They even made the finals almost, but not quite. They fell short against obviously the Ateneo team again. But how great of a pride was it to you to see being there in the dark ages to finally see your school, your team get to those heights?
It was so emotional, man. Like I'm even getting emotional thinking about it because, I was actually there October 2019. So before the pandemic, I was out there for about a few weeks. So I saw two games that they played. Kobe Paras, the Deliano brothers. I mean, they were so good. They were just a team. They played all together. And it was just good to see my old coach too, Coach Ricky Dandan, and just being successful and just having to be part of that culture before and seeing how much, it changed in a more positive way. And I went to two of their games. One of them was against Ateneo. But man, the fans were there. The fans were cheering so loud. And, that's the pride that, UP always had, and I wish they were, there like that every game when I played. But, these guys are just, on another level. And, watching Kobe, watching Richie, I mean, these guys were just, at another level. And you can tell, just by their demeanor, the way they stepped on the court, and their brotherhood too. So, honestly, it was a great feeling to see them be successful, the last 2018, 2019. And I hope, and wish them nothing but success moving forward. So hopefully we can see them again on TV soon, because I'm up until 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning here in Chicago, waiting for their game to start on YouTube so I can watch it.
Hopefully we can get the UAAP back again. Hopefully with things with the COVID pandemic slowly stabilizing here in the country. But I'll go back to how you were as a player. After that you still had tries for the PBA, right? I think
yes.
I remember you played with the D League. What happened since then? Was it? I think you still declared for the draft, right? Can you just share what transpired in those moments?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did get drafted in the PBA kind of late. I think it was 5th round, and by Barack Bull. But at that time, I think I wasn't mentally there. I think after playing the D League, I played with Frutas. I played with Cafe France. Cafe France was probably the one of my favorite years of playing basketball there. I was with Jens Nuttall and Mike Parala, Mark Lopez. We had a really solid team and a very good coach at Cafe France. So after playing D League for a couple of years and then getting drafted, I felt like it was just time for me to being drafted that low and not and thinking I was gonna play right away in the PBA. It took me a lot to just reconfirm myself that I can still play this game. So I went back home to Chicago. I trained for about 4 or 5 months, and I came back, and I was on the practice team with Morocco Bolts. And then at that time, I was there for about a year, still trying to figure it out and still, trying to make the team and, get on the league. But at that time, there was pretty much only 2 leagues. It was the D League and PBA. Right now, if I went back, there's so many out there. Like, why wasn't this there when I was there? I could have been playing all across the Philippines, at that time. But at that same time too, my mother was sick. She had cancer, lung cancer, and she passed away a couple of years ago. But at that time, she was 5 or 6 years into being sick. So it was just time for me. I realized I got my UP diploma. I met my wife there, she's here, and she's actually 5 months pregnant, expecting our first child. So at that time I was like, let me go back home, stay with my mom, help my wife, come over here to the States too, and just, reconnect myself, with my family, my friends here. So at that time, I wanted to still play. I think I still can play right now. So, but it was just time for me to come home back to Chicago, find my roots again, and be with my mom, especially with my mom, since, I haven't, all that time that she was sick, I wasn't really there around her. So, family always comes first.
Really was a roller coaster ride for you, basketball wise, but it seems like you're in a good place now. You said you're still playing in rec leagues.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about the endeavor you had, Bata Soul, right? Can you
Bata
expound
Soul.
more on that? Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh man, this is what I love doing right now. So Bata Soul, it's my friend Jeff Masanka. He started this, I think back in 2017 or 18. It's a nonprofit organization where he went back to his province where his dad lived, and he just saw so many kids, playing with no basketball shoes, and here in the States, we're so privileged to always see someone in the gym, having shoes on and playing with basketball shoes. So what he did, he started a nonprofit organization where we collect new and used or gently used sneakers, we clean them up, and then we send them over to the Philippines, and we distribute them to different provinces that are less fortunate. So that's why I was actually back there in 2019 in October, where we actually set up a whole event at the tenement court in Taguig, and gave back over 1,000 sneakers to the kids over there. But then after that, we went to different cities, different provinces around the Philippines. So we are trying to do this almost every year. So, but with the pandemic, we didn't have the time to. But this last summer, we actually started our basketball camp called Camp Soul. So this is where I'm taking my talents and teaching it back to the youth here in Chicago. So we are doing it every summer, training kids, instilling the fundamentals, getting them to love the game like how we did, when we were kids. And we're also doing it in different cities as well. We just did one in Las Vegas a couple months ago. We have one coming up here in Phoenix, Arizona. We have plans to go to California, San Diego, San Francisco. So we're just trying to expand our Bata Soul, our Camp Soul, collect shoes from the kids, but also teach them the fundamentals of the game as well, and just love the game like how we did.
Mike, you also said that aside from Bata Soul, you've been trying to help kids. Is it just in the United States, or have you also discovered players who hopefully can cross over and follow the same path that you had in playing here in the Philippines?
Yep, absolutely. So, the youth is what we started with, but there's a lot of high school kids here that want to pursue and get to that next level. And, of course, the Philippines is always, in my mind. So I'm actually working with kids and, high school kids. We actually have it's called Philam Nation Select here in Chicago, where we, teach high school kids, we train them, we set up showcases, for them to get recognized, by coaches, with YouTube channels or Instagram videos or anything that can help them get to that next level. And of course, I still have some connections with my coaches as well, in the Philippines. So, that's something that I am, looking to expand here coming up this summer, because it's hard sometimes here in Chicago when it's snowing. It's hard to find a gym, sometimes. So, it's in the summer, that's where a lot of the training comes in. And, kids are out of school, high school kids are out of school, so they have the whole summer to train. And that is my high priority this summer, is to get really good basketball players, Philams, whoever it is, that want to play at that next level, to get overseas and see what it's like in the Philippines.
I'm here to my last few questions, Mike.
Yeah.
We've basically glossed over your career and where you were in UP and now where you are now. what's the lesson that you want uh, kids, maybe your past fans or your still fans of from your UP days to pick up from the journey that you had?
Absolutely. Um, my biggest, I guess, takeaways and my biggest advice is, you never lose the love for the game, no matter where you are. I grew up with this game. The basketball has taken me places that I've never thought that would take me. And you hit some successes, you'll hit some failures, you'll lose games, you'll win games, you'll be the star of games, you'll be the bench player sometimes. You'll go to practice and you have the best practice, and sometimes you have the worst practices. You make enemies, sometimes you don't make enemies. So it's all about the grind. It's all about the passion that you have for it. But if you wake up every day and you still love the game, which I do every single day, that is something that it's hard to teach. It's something that it'll never go away with me. Especially with my future kid, I hope, to instill that game and the love of it that took me to places that I never thought I would. So my advice is to stick with your passion and whatever aspect it is, whether it's coaching kids, whether it's, training kids, whether it's, playing ball once a week with your friends, and joining leagues, or, watching the game, or going to watch the Bulls game, or staying up late, to watch a PBA game on YouTube. These are things that are instilled with me, and basketball is my first love. It always will be. And you just gotta, find ways to keep that passion alive, even though it's not your main priority anymore.
Very inspiring stuff. And again, congratulations to you, Mike, uh, for your baby. I'll just end on a light note. This has been an ongoing debate for us sports writers who have seen you in your playing days here. Were you really the guy, the model for handyman for a time?
You know what? That's a great question. Yes, I was at the time. It's funny because my dad has a picture of me in a newspaper in the Philippines with me holding like tools and like a block of wood.
A 2x4.
Yeah, 2x4. And I had I think I had a billboard in EDSA somewhere. So it's funny because I don't know how to use too many tools. So Handyman was one of our really, really great sponsors for our team, and they saw something in me, to be their face of the brand at that time, which I have, nothing but, love for them. They really treated me very, very well, in the 2 or 3 years that they kept me, to be part of their program and to be their ambassador. So yeah, that's funny that you bring that up, because not a lot of people remember that. So it's kind of funny to think about me modeling as a handyman tool man. So
thank you very much, Mike. Very refreshing, very reminiscing talk with you, and hope we can see you here in the Philippines soon. Maybe as a player again, or maybe as a coach.
Hey, I'm still in shape. I think I can still play the game at 33 years old. So, my numbers are, getting up there in terms of age, but I feel like I can still play, with some good players. So we'll see. You never know, right?
Thank you very much, Mike Silungan, everybody, former UP Maroons. Thank you very much. Thank you.